Hello, are you there? Hello and welcome. Whether you're watching this live or if you're watching the recording, welcome to Heart and Mind. I'm Dr. Dina McMillan, and we're up to episode 38. We're talking about how to survive and thrive a breakup. Now, I didn't have permission, so in my mind, when I was doing this, I was thinking Gloria Gaynor's wonderful song, I Will Survive, but that's not good enough. We want to talk about how to thrive. So stay with me. I'm glad you're here, and let's get going. No more boring Tuesdays. That's what I've promised you. You will find information here you won't find anywhere else because most of the people in my field work at being a little bit more subtle, influencing you from the background. Now, we're available. Sorry about the way this looks. Every time I transfer things to a new platform, they change the spacing. But we're here every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. on the Pacific Coast. So if you're available, nothing else to do, why don't you just find this information that can absolutely change your life? Now, one of the things I mentioned at the top that most of the people in my field do things a little differently. I'm a social psychologist. That doesn't mean I just sit around studying people who get together and have a social life. It's important for you to understand what social psychology is because it informs everything I bring to you. It is the evil science, no kidding. Now, I'm trying to be on the side of the angels, but I won't lie about my field. We study learning and power dynamics, but we also study influence, persuasion, manipulation, coercion, indoctrination, and brainwashing. And when I say we study it, we don't just look at what happens out in the world. We do a lot of experiments to figure out how to change people's thoughts and behavior without alerting them that it was an external influence that actually changed their minds or got them to move left instead of right. This is what I mean about it being sneaky and potentially very evil. And speaking of sneaky evil, this is a book, my well informed audience. You guys are so clever, so smart. You're willing to look at the world head on. No rose colored glasses here. So you have to get your own copy of the Pfizer papers. It took years for Naomi Wolf, Amy Kelly, and others to put this crucial information together to expose what Pfizer was up to. This is the information Pfizer wanted to keep secret for 75 years. It gives you the latest analysis of the clinical trial documents, and it helps support Daily Clout, which is bringing facts and the truth to the world. So go on Amazon, type in Pfizer papers, and please get your own copy. Now, speaking of smart and bringing information to the world, oh my goodness, Brian O'Shea is going to be here next week, and I'm so excited. I talked to him yesterday. Poor guy. I wouldn't let him disconnect. He was just so interesting. And what he does is covert intelligence. Yeah, all that sneaky Pete stuff the government gets up to. He actually is going to talk to you about what's being done. And we're going to talk together about where our two fields converge. Now, I was thinking about this show. Please tune in and watch it. He is so interesting. And you'll find fascinating facts you won't find anywhere else. But I was thinking about this earlier, and I said to myself, during the previous administration, during the Biden administration, if he and I tried to do this, we might have been censored because the government really didn't want a lot of this information to get out. And when I'm talking to him, I'm sitting there just like gobsmacked, literally, oh my goodness. He knows things and he's been at it for a while and he's a fascinating person. So tune in next Tuesday at 8 p.m. He's going to be here with us. And if you sign in, if you're live streaming this and you sign in on whatever platform you're watching it, you can actually send questions and comments, not just next week, you can send them today. And speaking of sending info, another great way to reach me, go to my X page. It's at Dr. Dina 1, very easy. If you sign in right now on my page, you can sign in now and send me questions today live while I'm talking to you. But people often approach me there, which is a great way to approach me because I'm on X a lot. I need to find out what's happening in the world. And when I go on there, people ask me questions. Now, we talk a lot here about social psychology and about influence and manipulation and large scale coercion. But please keep in mind, one of my fields of study, one of my fields of specialization is interpersonal relationships. So we're talking about romantic relationships, friendships, we're talking family. That's what this topic today came from. Somebody talking to me about a romantic breakup. How do I get through this without losing my ever loving mind? We started to chat, and I thought my audience may need to know this too. Because right now, if you're clued in and your partner is not, it's going to be causing more problems than ever before because we have people on the left, the Democrats, the woke, and the reason I add the woke, because some of the people watching the show are in New Zealand and Australia and the UK, so they don't have Democrats there, but it's the same people, just slightly different clothing, same cause, same scripts, and they are encouraging their followers to completely reject and ostracize and punish anyone who does not adhere to the narrative according to the way they want things done. So they're encouraging people, and we talked about this a few months ago. We had a couple of episodes where we talked about how they are specifically advising people. You have thought leaders in the United States specifically advising people to break up with their partner or get a divorce if the person does not vote Democrat, if the person doesn't vote left, if the person isn't woke. Even if they get along really well on all other issues, they're being encouraged to leave that person. So this is a really important issue right now because there are pressures on relationships above and beyond everything that was always there. And goodness knows they were hard enough as it was. So we're talking today about surviving and thriving a breakup. I didn't want to just help you survive it. I want you to actually figure out a way, always with the plan. Okay. You know me, I'm solution focused. So I want to give you information that will help you get through quicker, help you get through cleaner, more completely. And one thing a lot of people don't recognize, if you don't handle a breakup a certain way, you become a cautionary tale to your new partner. If your new partner finds out what you did, and your former partner may tell them, if you behaved in an unethical way, if you wouldn't let go, if you were clingy and difficult, it could ruin your relationships forever after. So I want you to be smart. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So stay with me as we go through it. This is really important. Everybody suffers some kind of breakup. Let's be real. Losing weight isn't just about looking good. It's also about taking back control of your overall health. 42% of adults in America are classified as obese. Obesity is directly linked to severe health issues, including heart disease, diabetes, stroke, and cancer. These illnesses are costing Americans over $173 billion each year in medical expenses alone. If you've tried diets and different workouts with no success, it's not your fault. Big food and big pharma have rigged the system against you with contradicting information that leaves you confused. But there's good news. The wellness company just launched Drop, a GLP-1 peptide oral drop formula developed by their chief medical board, specifically designed to support your metabolism, curb cravings, and help you shed weight. That's right, no injections or the risk of severe side effects that we're seeing with the Zempic. Simply take drop in water, gradually increasing quantity over time, and let your body do the rest. Start your weight loss journey today and get $50 off plus free shipping. Head to dailycloudhealth.com and use the code DailyCloud. Take action today for a healthier tomorrow. Well, we're back to the topic. Oh my goodness, even thinking about it, putting this material together made my heart ache. I've gone through some terrible heartbreak in my life, starting as a teenager, okay? And it's starting even earlier than that. If you think about heartbreak and breakups, is not, remember, they're not just romantic. Breaking it off with friends can be a real problem. And oh my goodness, Melinda Richards, who isn't able to be here today, my friend from Australia, she talked a lot about how many friends she's lost because she wasn't willing to ignore all of the propaganda and the social coercion and the medical coercion that was going on really before, but really ramped up during the COVID crisis. What about you? Remember, sign in, ask me questions. It's a lot easier than hiring me, and you probably have a question that someone else wants answered too. So if you have a question or a comment, sign in and ask me. Breakups include romance, family estrangement. I have mentioned many times here before that I have one sister who won't speak to me and hasn't spoken to me for more than 10 years because I'm not woke. And I have a few more that have joined her in the rejection because I voted for Trump. It gets really ugly. I really miss my sisters. I have a relatively small family because basically having two parents who were in effect only children, and because my dad had some siblings that he hadn't seen since he was very young. They're just completely on different paths. My mom was an only child. I have four sisters, and for the most part, none of them are speaking to me because they are fully indoctrinated by the woke, and they're being told that I'm a horrible person because I see through it. They have not as yet recognized, well, wait a minute, she also has a knowledge base that we don't have. What is she seeing that we're not? When they are ready to ask that question, I am so ready to give them the answer. But in the meantime, I'm estranged from my family, and it's very painful. I won't lie to you. I would never reject them because of politics. No, those are my sibs, you know? We've all lost friendships because of differences in outlook. Unless you're one of those lucky people who live somewhere around non-woke people who are asking questions, who are okay with disagreeing about certain things. Because what has happened as well, as the woke have gained power, they do not allow disagreement on anything without total rejection and punitive measures. They're very punishing. Loss of a job also counts. Have you ever lost a job? I certainly have. Oh my goodness, it's painful like a romantic breakup. depending on the job and how long you've been there. The loss of any relationship or job includes a period of mourning. So you're going to go through a period where you have a sense of loss, and sometimes you'll be able to forget it for just a little bit, and then you'll remember and it'll hit you again. Just recognize it. I'm in mourning. This is a natural process. I have to be able to endure this. I want you to think of it that way. And prepare for a full range of emotions. You're going to feel sadness. You're going to be angry. You're going to feel regret. What did I do wrong? Didn't I do that differently? For many of you, I want you to answer this question for me. If you can sign in somewhere and actually put a comment in, do you sometimes regret, if you're not vaccinated and you lost jobs, contracts, opportunities, like many of us did, do you sometimes get really sad, or you look at your bank account and go, why didn't I just get that shot? Or why didn't I just agree with that, DEI policy that they were putting through? Why didn't I applaud when that unqualified person got promoted and just acted like everyone else? Why did I have to stand firm? So even if most of the time you're quite confident in your choices and decisions, every once in a while you may be haunted. You may feel a sense of regret. If you lost relationships or a job behind it, you certainly will feel sad and you'll feel angry. So think about that and let me know. If you're bold enough, send me a note. Let me know. I'm a big fan of this product. And if you've watched the show, you've heard me rave about how much it's helped me. What about you? Are you ready to move easily and independently without pain or stiffness holding you back? Do you want to look in the mirror and see a plump, hydrated glow instead of more fine lines and wrinkles? Discover Native Path Collagen, made with only type 1 and type 3 collagen fibers, the two most important types that make up 90% of the collagen in your body. It's found in your cartilage, bones, skin, hair, nails, and gut. Types 1 and 3 provide maximum benefits without the need for unnecessary fillers. Native Path Collagen is a single ingredient formula with no fillers, additives, or artificial sweeteners. Plus, it's third-party tested for heavy metals, ensuring purity and safety. Completely flavorless, Native Path Collagen can be added to anything: coffee, smoothies, oatmeal, you name it. Its peptide formula makes it more bioavailable, meaning it's absorbed more easily and mixes perfectly without clumping. And the best part, Native Path offers amazing bundle deals. You can get 3 or 6 packs at a fraction of the price of other brands. With over 4 million jars sold, 1 million happy customers, including me, 8,000 5-star reviews, and a 365-day no-risk guarantee, Native Path is a trusted choice. Plus, they offer an 800 number for any questions about usage, recipes, or ingredients. And you'll speak to a real person ready to help. Join their private Facebook community to share success stories, recipes, and to support each other on this journey called life. Visit getnativepath.com/dailyclout and start your transformation today. That is getnativepath.com/DAILYCLOUT. Now, the picture's funny, but not really funny. Have you ever had a breakup of some kind where you felt like this? Where you just like everybody, your body doesn't work, and you're just like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm never going to love again. I'm never going to go outside again. I'm going to live the rest of my life in my pajamas. If you really cared about whatever the loss was, the relationship was, whether it was professional, personal, you're going to be really raw for a while. Brace yourself. And you won't have full control over your feelings. However, you knew I was going to get to the however. I thought it was better than just saying but, okay? However, you can always control your actions. And one of the things that I promote here on this show is the learnings that I've gained through social psychology and through life, that if we have discipline and take control of our actions, do not ever blame someone else, hold ourselves fully accountable for what we do, regardless of the provocation or any situation we happen to be in, we have a very different life than someone who doesn't. So remember, no matter how heartbroken you are ultimately responsible for how you behave. No matter what kind of jerk you were involved with, male or female, you are still responsible for how you respond, how you behave. And today, it's not just about that. I'm not just giving you a hard time. I'm giving you information to set you up to win. So at the end of it, you get through it faster. You'll probably miss that person much less. So you'll move through the painful period faster. You'll miss the person less. You'll leave less detritus in your wake. You won't be destroying things in your life. Because remember, people are watching you. And one of the things I happened to mention before, people in the future will be asking, how did you handle previous breakups? I've had so many people, even people in my family, who have been approached by a partner's ex who said this person is this, that, and the other. And in this case that I'm thinking of, she ignored it completely. And of course, ultimately, she ended up in a situation with that person doing everything that previous person had described. Now, I'm not saying that you should necessarily take an ex's criticisms to heart, because they could just be vindictive or unstable, etc. But it should at least make you wonder and query whether there's validity to it. Don't be that ex. That leaves your partner, your former friend, your former job with a weapon to use against you in the future. Because if they describe something that you actually did that was irresponsible, hateful, vindictive, wrong, it could ruin your future prospects, and it's not worth it. I want you to win. A lot of what you do, I talked about, always being responsible for your actions. The first step of that is to decide. Decide you're going to get through this situation with the least amount of carnage. Okay? Decide that. And every time you feel yourself slipping, say, wait a minute, no, I made a decision. I'm going to do it this way. No, I'm not going to allow myself to give in to that. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm not going to respond when I see that social media post that's completely a lie, that's so vindictive. Now, that doesn't mean you don't hold the person accountable. And we're going to talk about that too. Because sometimes it's your ex that is just out of control, horrible, and you always have the right to protect yourself. And I want you to protect yourself. So here's the first Thrive tip. So we're going to have a bunch of Thrive tips. You can just think of it as Thrive tip. That way, if you're busy in the future, you can just click on this episode. It's one of the reasons I write everything down. Click on the episode. You're doing something else, and you can just quickly scroll through and just remind yourself of these tips. Thrive tip number 1, commit to remaining in control of your actions. Say, commit to it. Say, I will do this. And again, I talk a lot about personal integrity. Personal integrity is the first and most important type of discipline because it's self discipline. It's the kind of discipline that says I'm always accountable for my actions. If I say something, I'm obligated to do it. If I do something, I'm obligated to take responsibility for it. So when you commit to something as a person of integrity, it exponentially increases the probability you'll see it through. And I want you to see it through. Again, I want everybody watching this, listening to this, whether you're watching it live, whether you're watching it in recording, I want you to win. This is how you win. Commit to remaining in control of your actions, because media and online content about breakups can encourage you to ruin your future. Protect yourself, but no vengeance. This is Angela Bassett in Waiting to Exhale. After her husband leaves her for another woman, and she threw away his clothes, put his clothes in the car, and set his car on fire. And I have to say, certain cultures, the Black American culture, seems to applaud lack of control, lack of responsibility, emotional reaction rather than response. I want you to be a person of thoughtful response, not primal reaction, inspired by how you feel. If you've been cheated on, if you've been betrayed, if you've been lied to, if you've been deceived, you may be tempted to do something vindictive. Here's a really interesting thing. And I'm speaking from personal experience. It was amazing to me how when I did not allow an ex's actions to inform what I did, I stayed with my principles the whole way. Recovery was so much faster. And I had nothing to sit back and regret. So no vengeance, even if you think they deserve it. Now, when we're talking romantic relationships, I want you to keep in mind this is just like a little caveat. I want you to keep in mind that the difficulty of breaking up in a romantic relationship is on a continuum. If you first started dating, you're not really, involved very much, it's a lot simpler to end a relationship. The more time, the more interlaced your relationship becomes, the more complicated it becomes to break up with them. And when you add kids, I didn't have enough space to add how complex things get when children are involved. So keep that in mind, that if you are breaking up and you have children, if you're cohabitating, if you're married, even if you're just a boyfriend, girlfriend in a monogamous relationship, it's going to be more challenging and have more steps to get clear of it than if you just started dating someone and said, no, this isn't going to work. The fact that it's easier earlier is why my Unmasking the Abuser program identifies the earliest red flags that this person is potentially a user, loser, abuser, cheater, whatever. Those signs are there very early. And we've been taught, especially women have been taught, it's romantic to ignore any of the warning signs, the red flags we see early. It's not romantic, it's dumb. So I have given you some really good, effective information so you can identify someone when you first get involved with them and don't find yourself years later, many children later, involved with an abuser. Now, it's still valuable if you are at that stage, if the relationship became monogamous, cohabitating, married, kids, the information still works because it helps you understand how you got trapped. It makes you less vulnerable to your ex, and it keeps you from that terrible vulnerability that people who have been abused have, and that they are exponentially more likely to get involved in another abusive relationship. Let's cut that. That's my Unmasking the Abuser program. And I should tell all of you right now, I am very excited designing a new website. But while my website is being designed, while it's getting up and running, you're going to need to contact me on X. Now, my books are all, Buddy Says He Loves Me, paperback, Buddy Says He Loves Me, audiobook, my books, everything is available on Amazon. So you don't need my website to be able to do it. But I have blogs, I have ways to contact me, I have ways to hire me. So even if you want to hire me for my Unmasking the Abuser education training, my Healing the Rift training, or interpersonal family problems, romantic problems, contact me on X and I will let you know on this show when my new website is up and running. Circles of intimacy. Thrive tip number 2. You know the circles of intimacy we discussed in episode 11? The good news is if you go on Daily Cloud or Rumble, you can see the previous recordings. Look up episode 11. Circles of intimacy. It's an easy breezy test that you go down and you look at and you assess how you really feel about the people in your life. And then based on their treatment of you, you're able to accurately assess how they really feel about you. And when I did that episode I mentioned, I came up with this because I was having issues with one of my siblings, the sibling I said that hasn't spoken to me in over a decade because I'm not woke. I was having trouble with her well before that. And I did this circle of intimacy test. And the first person I tested was myself with my relationship with her. And I realized I had her in that red circle that's like, at the border of the red and the blue, where I was like, she's my sibling, I'll sacrifice, I prioritize her. She had me in the pale blue circle for acquaintances. I wasn't quite in the white circle for strangers. But if you're thinking about a relationship that's over, do yourself a favor before you do anything else. Figure out how healthy it was in the first place. That can also help you get through. Losing a relationship where you realize you were never a priority eventually and quickly becomes much easier than losing a relationship where you both have each other in the red circle. Also, Thrive tip number 3, remove the reminders from everyday sight. Take all those pictures out that you've got of the person. Don't have your social media feed full of pictures of the two of you together on a beach or in romantic settings. Get rid of all of it for now. And here's something I would also say. Don't get rid of it forever. In the old days, when people actually had physical pictures, I know I did this because my mother was showing pictures of me when I was young to a guy I was dating, and I was so embarrassed because I was such a bony, awkward teenager, and I just ripped the pictures up. Stupid move. This is before I knew what I know now. Don't tear anything up. Don't permanently delete the photos. Later on, there may be value to having them. You may eventually recover to the point where you want them. So don't completely remove the person from your life. Just remove them for now where you don't have daily reminders. Thrive tip number 4, have a no contact period. Ooh, really? Yes. Have a no contact period while you're going through that tumultuous emotional roller coaster, because it can be too painful and it makes it harder for you to recover if you are still in contact with the person on a regular basis. If this person's in your family and you have Sunday dinners with your family and they're there, explain to your parents, we're going through a tough period right now. I will come and see you the day before or the day after, but I'd rather not come to Sunday dinners for a while. Don't make it permanent. Don't make it hysterical. And again, the more integrity you have, the more your word will be trusted by other people. Now, no contact includes no drunk or rage texting or calling. I thought this was funny. Your ex Pookie. If you have an ex named Pookie, I don't write me angry notes, but don't take calls from this person. Don't call them or text them. Just have a period where you have no contact with them at all. Now, the exception, of course, is if you have children. So, if you have children and you have to arrange pickups and contact and all of that sort of thing, try to do it via text. Keep the method as distant as possible. So, don't call them, text them, or preferably set up a calendar where you don't have to contact them at all unless there's an emergency, where it's just set. And you know, on Saturday or from Friday to Saturday night, the kids go and stay with my ex. I drop them off here, I pick them up there. Try to get it so you can have as little contact as possible and still get everything done and have a clear understanding with your ex. Phoning and seeing in person is only for emergencies. Now, here's another thing. Often, if you're involved, if you broke it off, and or if you are getting rid of a relationship with a narcissist or an abuser at any stage, they will even try this if you've only gone out with them twice. They'll say, let's just be friends. No. If you broke that person's heart, if they are narcissistic, if they have abusive warning signs and red flags, do not accept friendship with this person. They are using it as a tool to keep you in their life so eventually they can get you back. You don't want to let them do that. Thrive tip number 6, improve yourself, preferably around other people. Take a class, join a book club, do something social where you're around other people. It can keep you from sitting at home on the couch like we saw previously. No dating. Now, here's a tough one. A lot of people, especially men, if they have a relationship breakup, especially if they were broken up with, they will tend to say, oh, I'm going to get over this person by dating lots of other people. That's not the solution. I'm here to tell you how to do things so you get through faster and more completely. If you do this, it leaves you emotionally vulnerable to your ex. Did you know that? So just resign yourself until I recover completely, which will happen faster if you follow these tips. Until I recover completely, I'm not dating anyone. I will socialize with other people. I'm not going to stay home alone because that's how you get really unhappy. Don't do that. But no dating. And remind yourself, this is just a reminder at every stage. I didn't make it a tip because I just want you to keep reminding yourself your heart will mend. There will be scars, but your heart will mend. You will recover. You will get over it. Thrive tip number 8. Once you're on the mend, I want you to figure out where it went wrong. This is how you keep from replicating the same problems in your future relationships or your other relationships. Figure out where it went wrong. Now, for a lot of you, went wrong just means you have bad taste, or you're unwilling to accept the type of person you selected or were selected by, the person you allowed to select you. That still counts. If you didn't say no and didn't absent yourself, it's still a choice. Even if you later say, well, I didn't ask him, he asked me, and he just kept showing up, or make that he or she, still a choice. If you have bad taste, now, sorry about this, guys, but women tend to pay attention to this stuff more than you guys do. If you keep making bad choices in partners, I actually wrote a book to help you change your taste. Not just choose a different partner, actually change your taste So you are actually desiring someone who is loving and respectful and cooperative and appreciative instead of the jerk that you were with before. It's available at Amazon. Any problems, contact me on X. And again, you can soon be able to contact me on my new website. So if you know or suspect your partner is emotionally abusive, this is for guys and for girls, okay? I also wrote a book for that. This is an ebook that I would recommend if you buy it. It's only $10. I made it as cheap as possible. If you buy it, it's easy to read, it's fast, less than 60 pages, has graphics, but it has core information you need. And you can also find it on Amazon. Again, any problems, contact me on X. Thrive tip number 9. Hurt feelings are not an excuse for malicious behavior. And here we have the kind of smashing the windshield of the car or doing this is a flying monkeys picture. Flying monkeys, as you know, if you've heard me talk about tactics used by abusers, is whispering behind somebody's back, saying that they did all sorts of horrible things that are just not true. That's going online and making up fake online identities so you can troll the person. None of that is okay. Thrive tip number 10, try to keep the kids out of it. Please don't make them choose between you. Even if you feel your ex was completely wrong, your kids are pretty smart. If you stay out of it and let them choose and let them see without you getting in the middle, then they'll wise up and you will still be a good person. And they won't feel forced, which they will appreciate as they get older. Thrive tip number 11, a healthier you, emotionally, physically, is the best revenge. It also lets you move on. Everything I'm talking about is the healthy way to get through a painful breakup. And again, quick, clean, fast. Okay? Thrive tip number 12. After the no contact period, it may be possible to have a relationship. Again, not if they're a narcissist, not if they are an abuser, not if you broke up with them and they haven't moved on yet. Those are caveats here. But in other circumstances, eventually, it may be possible to have a relationship. But pay attention to the past. Were they someone who had good character? How did they handle the breakup? Are they honorable or not? See if it's worth it before you agree or initiate a relationship with an ex. Thrive tip number 13. Don't allow yourself to be used. That means no loans of money, no booty calls, okay? Don't let this person use you as just in case kind of person. Oh, I don't have anything going today, so let me go hang out with them because they still love me and they'll give me whatever I want. Be smarter than that. Do not let them use you. And calm yourself before dealing with your ex. Some of these people know really how to push your buttons. So put cotton over your buttons. Don't allow, even if you're really upset, don't show it. Have some calming methods. It could even be what I was telling you about, look up pressure points on your hands. There's a pressure point in that web area between your thumb and your forefinger that you can press it to calm yourself down. Look up pressure points to calm yourself before you deal with them. Do not ever make choices or say things while your heat is up. Do not do it in a heightened state, okay? Or if they've been really kind and loving for a while, and you're like, oh, I miss them. No. Always get yourself calm and rational before dealing with an ex. Thrive tip 15. Here we go. Your ex wants to come back. Says they've changed. Should you believe them or not? Now, that's another reason for getting my Unmasking the Abuser information that you can get in my brief overview of abuser strategies and tactics, is that if they claim they've changed, you'll know not to believe it. But I also talk about in there and in my work, I talk about, and we've even had an episode on this where we talk about how can you trust somebody's actually changed. So look through previous episodes of Heart and Mind. Two of them is episode 6, Distraction and Rebranding. That's like, putting a superficial change over an existing pattern of behavior. And episode 23, Should We Forgive Those Who Hurt Us? Look through those things again and really consider it before you ever think about taking an next back. Did the person act honorably? I mean, did they break your heart, but they didn't do it in a horrible way? Maybe you could think about it. Be smart. Tribe tip number 16. If you ended things, do not take advantage of your ex. That's how people get incited to do crazy stuff, especially if they're not that balanced. And not everybody has the ration and logic and insights that you have, my Heart and Mind audience. You guys are clever. You look at the world straight on, but not everybody does that. And people get very upset when they feel used and betrayed. They may not do anything about it, but are you a good person if you use an ex? The answer is no. So don't do it. Thrive tip number 17. Don't give in to emotional blackmail. Yes, I said this last week. I probably said it 10 times on these shows because it's so important. I've seen too many people get back into really bad relationships because the person threatens to hurt themselves. Do not give into it. And if the person is an abuser, again, another reason for knowing the warning signs that somebody's abusive. And by the way, my abuse information focuses on emotional and psychological and practical abuse, not necessarily physical abuse. You can be incredibly abused and not hit. So don't think it's just physical assault. But if you are in an abusive relationship and the person threatens to hurt themselves, you are putting your own life and that of your children at risk if you give in to emotional blackmail and go back to this person. So if they are threatening to hurt themselves, call the police. They won't arrest them, but they will get them mental health assistance that they need. But don't put your life on the line because somebody threatens to hurt themselves, because the majority of abusers who are suicidal are also homicidal. So they will kill you first before they kill themselves. And they may not even kill themselves, just you. Okay, Thrive tip number 18. While you're still heartbroken, focus on what your ex did wrong. This is one of the few times I tell people to focus on the negative. Actually think about what you didn't like about that person, whether it's a friendship, whether it was romance, whether it was a job. What didn't you like about being there? And think about that, because it can keep you from missing it too much or missing them too much. Think about the negative for a little while, but the second part of that, once you begin to recover, focus on what you did wrong and work to improve those things. I mentioned last week or the week before, I was talking about how I realized in a relationship that was very tumultuous, it was close, but it was also tumultuous, where if I were angry, I would vent and yell and, oh, this is terrible, just awful. And when the relationship ended, I said, who was that? I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be somebody that, pitches a fit because they're angry or makes a scene or does any of that. So I couldn't do anything about him. He was gone, but I could change me. So I took my permission back. I do not give myself permission. Now I will stand up for myself, but I don't give myself permission to yell, scream, name call, make a scene, any of that, no matter what's going on. And you can do the same thing. Look at what you did. Were you too passive? Did you just go along and give the impression that you were okay with something when it wasn't true? Figure out what your mistakes are and work on yourself. Don't worry about them for now. Drive tip number 18. Sorry for all of my really sensitive viewers if this is a scary picture. I purposely made it scary because I wanted him to look scary. If your ex has any of the cluster B personality disorders, that's antisocial personality disorder, bipolar disorder, borderline personality disorder, narcissism, or histrionic personality disorder, where they need to be the center of attention, hypersexual, if they have any of these personality disorders or psychopathic traits, where they seem to enjoy manipulating and hurting people and whatever, remain on guard. If your relationship ends with them, remain on guard against them. I have seen abusers, for instance, with psychopathic traits. There needs to be another cluster B called abuser. And they've gone out with somebody less than a month and still will contact them, follow them, write mean things on their review for their business, all of that after less than a month. There was no involved relationship, but they do not like rejection. That anybody that's been involved with one of these people, they consider you their property forever. You need backup. Talk to somebody and make sure you have your guard up at all times. I'm sorry, but you need to. I talk about this a lot in episodes 31 and 32. Why are people woke, parts 2 and 3? I help you really, excuse me, identify the cluster B people, because a lot of the extreme acting out we're seeing politically and socially and culturally is from people with cluster B personality disorders. It's not something just to dismiss simply because they don't classify right now as being insane. They are usually highly functional. A lot of the categories like borderline and narcissism, they're often quite bright. And so they could succeed on their intelligence and charm, and they're devious and unhinged. Be careful. Thrive tip number 20. If it all gets too hard, reach out for help. And I'm talking to you, my male audience members. Men tend to think they can handle everything themselves. I would add a little bit to this as well. Do not use alcohol, drugs, sex, porn, or any of those things to try to recover from heartbreak. All you're going to do is add on to the heartbreak. It does not cure anything. It doesn't heal anything. It just makes your situation significantly worse. So if it gets too hard, look for sources. And the good thing about, there's a lot I don't like about modern technology. I feel like, I will often walk down the street and see people, and people almost run into me all the time because I'm walking down the street, actually not on my phone, not listening to music, present and paying attention to where I am. Situational awareness is important. Being present in the moment is important. And everybody's on their phone. So technology, and we had an episode on it, if you're addicted to your devices, technology can be a problem, but it has its positive sides. And here's one positive side. If you're someone who doesn't feel you have the time or the opportunity to get help in person, there are online groups that you can join where you can even passively sit there and just watch the interaction with other people and get really useful advice for yourself. A lot of the sites that are online for your issue are anonymous. So you don't even have to tell them what your name is. But please don't try to do it by yourself. Depending on how long the relationship lasted, how deep the emotional bond is with that other person or that situation, it can be devastating and you won't necessarily naturally recover. I like solutions, I like recovery, and I like it to be as complete as possible and as quick as you can. So, looking at any of these tips, I just brought you the tips that I have found through, and believe me, anything I advise you, if it's relevant to my life, I use it myself, okay? I want you to get through any kind of breakup with the least amount of permanent damage possible. I won't lie though, that little heart that I put that showed, the band-aids on the heart, it leaves a scar. Some of the pain is ongoing. When I think about my sisters, I miss them. I'm praying that they actually miss me enough to stop giving in to strangers who are telling them to reject me because I'm not woke and because I vote differently than they do. I want to have some sessions because we've been talking about the woke. Why are people woke? I'm going to also continue, and that's one of the things we're going to do with Brian as well, because he will talk about ways that powerful corporations, powerful individuals, the government have used knowledge and coordinated to influence us to think and believe a certain way and take advantage of us. I want us to really figure out a way to start pulling these people back from being woke, because I think everything I've seen says it is self and other destructive. It destroys the individual, it destroys our society. We need to be able to pull back from that. So we're looking for solutions as well. But here's, as I said, I had an in-depth conversation with somebody. I'm absolutely heartbroken. And all of us go through this. There's so many areas of my life I've been broken up with. I've broken up with people. I've broken up with people who wouldn't go away. I've been stalked. It all gets very interesting. How do you get through it faster? How do you get through it more cleanly where you don't leave a lot of damage? How do you get through it so that you recover from the emotional pain more quickly and completely? And these tips will actually help you. And here's the last tip. Thrive tip 21. Keep thinking about a bright future. Don't just focus on how you feel now. I know when you're first going through it, the world seems so dim and you're like, oh my God, I don't know what to do with myself. I'll never get through this. My life is over. It's done. That's how you're going to feel for a little bit. But keep reminding yourself. Take a deep breath. Remind yourself, I can get through this. And some of the earlier tips where I talked about socializing, that can also help you. Being around people who are upbeat, and you may even find it's helpful to be around people that didn't know your ex. If you've ever gone through a divorce, as I have, one of the biggest challenges is you often lose a lot of friends. There tends to be a favoritism where often the friends will stay with one partner or the other, and often it's the man, strangely enough. If you've gone through that where you've lost people you thought were your friends because you're divorced, and a lot of women are not comfortable around divorced women because they're afraid you're going to go through that phase where you decide you're going to be really wild and their husband might make a pass at you. So it's very challenging going through a breakup if you've been together for a while, if the relationship is serious. Get some help and keep reminding yourself, I will get through this. Get as much emotional and physical distance as you can from the situation. Now, if you have any questions or comments, If you I haven't had my usual people respond to me today, but that's okay. You can actually just put a question on X. You can put a question on below on Rumble. You can put a question on Daily Cloud. And please join me next week. It is going to be absolutely fascinating. So thank you for joining me today, and I wish you all the best. Any of you need help, please reach out. Thank you for joining me. I'm Dr. Dina McMillan.